Welcome to an amazing story that will inspire you and help you improve your English. Today, we are learning about Albert Einstein, a man who changed the world with his ideas and determination. As you listen, focus on new words and phrases. This is not just about learning English. It's about seeing how curiosity and hard work can lead to greatness. So, get your notebook, pay attention, and let's start this journey to build your listening skills, learn new words, and find motivation in the story of a genius. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in a small town called Ulm in Germany. His parents, Hermann Einstein and Pauline Koch, were ordinary people. Hermann worked with electrical equipment, and Pauline was a homemaker who loved music and learning. When Albert was born, there was nothing special about him except for one thing. His head was unusually large. His family even joked about it, wondering if he would grow up to be normal. Little did they know, this boy would grow up to change the world. Albert was a quiet child. He didn't say his first words until he was almost 3 years old. His parents worried about him. Some people thought something was wrong with him. His family called him the quiet one, because he rarely spoke, even when other kids were talking. But Albert wasn't quiet because he was slow. He was quiet because he was always thinking. He would sit for hours, watching the world around him as if he were trying to understand how everything worked. When Albert was 5 years old, his father gave him a small gift that changed his life. A simple compass. Albert didn't understand how it worked. How could the needle always point north, no matter how he turned it? He became fascinated with this tiny object. He stared at it for hours, trying to understand the invisible force that made it move. Later, he said that this experience left a deep and lasting impression on him. Albert didn't enjoy school. Back then, schools were very strict and students had to memorize everything. But Albert didn't want to just memorize facts. He wanted to ask questions and find answers. His teachers didn't like this. One teacher even told him, "You are a disgrace. You will never be successful." These words hurt, but Albert didn't let them stop him. He struggled with some subjects, especially languages, but he loved mathematics. He called it the language of the universe and enjoyed solving problems like puzzles. His mother noticed his love for music and encouraged him to learn the violin. At first, he didn't like practicing, but later, music became a way for him to relax and think clearly. His uncle Jacob also played a big role in shaping his mind. Jacob loved math and made it fun for Albert. He once told him, "Math is like a treasure hunt. Every problem is a clue that leads to the solution." This playful approach made Albert love numbers even more. Albert wasn't like other kids. While others played games, he spent hours reading books and imagining how the world worked. He loved stories about great scientists and dreamed of making discoveries of his own. One day, while walking home from school, Albert asked himself, what would it be like to ride a beam of light? This question stayed with him for years and led him to study light, space, and time. At 15, Albert faced a tough time. His father's business failed, and the family had to move to Italy. Albert stayed in Germany to finish school, but he hated being away from his family. He felt lonely and unhappy. Eventually, he decided to leave school without finishing. Many thought he had ruined his future, but Albert didn't care. He believed that learning was more important than following rules. At 16, he wrote his first scientific paper. It wasn't perfect, but it showed his talent. He also applied to a famous school in Switzerland, the Swiss Federal Polytechnic. However, He failed the entrance exam because he was weak in subjects like French and history. Instead of giving up, he tried again, worked hard, and improved. After leaving Germany, Albert moved to Switzerland. Schools there were different. Students could think freely. At 17, he tried again to enter the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School. This time, he passed. But even though he was studying at one of the best schools in Europe, he still had problems. Albert loved physics and math, but didn't care much about other subjects. His professors didn't understand his way of thinking. One professor told him, "You are smart, but you lack discipline." Albert wasn't the best student. He often skipped classes and studied on his own. While his classmates followed the lessons, Albert asked big questions. What is light? How does time work? Why does gravity exist? Most people didn't have answers to these questions. During his time at the Polytechnic, Albert met a young woman named Mileva Maric, the only female physics student in his class. Mileva was brilliant, and she shared Albert's love for science. They became close and spent hours discussing scientific theories. Albert once wrote to her, "Together, we will conquer the world of science." Life after graduation wasn't easy. Albert couldn't find a job. He wanted to be a professor, but no university would hire him. His professors didn't give him good recommendations because they thought he was unmotivated. He faced rejection after rejection. But instead of giving up, Albert took whatever jobs he could find to support himself. Finally, in 1902, he got a job as a clerk at the Swiss Patent Office. His job was to review patent applications. It wasn't a dream job, but it gave him free time to think about science. He began calling the patent office his thinking lab. While working there, he developed ideas about light, time, and space. In 1903, Albert married Mileva, and soon after they had a son, Hans. Life was hard. Albert's salary wasn't enough to support his family. Friends told him to focus on his job and forget about science, but Albert refused. He said, "I would rather struggle for my passion than live comfortably without purpose." In 1905, at age 26, Albert published a series of papers that changed the world. Scientists call this his miracle year. His most famous work was the special theory of relativity, which led to the famous equation EMC2. These papers shocked scientists. A simple clerk had just revolutionized physics. After 1905, Albert became famous. Universities offered him jobs. But he remained humble, saying, "I am not a genius. I am just curious." In 1914, Albert moved to Germany for a prestigious job. However, World War I started, and he opposed it. His marriage to Mileva ended in 1919, but he ensured she and their children were financially stable. That same year, British scientists tested Albert's general theory of relativity and confirmed it was correct. The news made headlines worldwide. He became a celebrity. However, he said, "If my theories are right, the Germans will say I am a German, and the Americans will say I am a Jew." In the 1920s, Albert traveled the world, promoting science and peace. In 1933, the Nazis rose to power, forcing him to flee to the US. He later became an American citizen. During World War II, Albert's equation helped in developing the atomic bomb. He regretted this and spent his later years promoting peace. He once said, "Mankind invented the atomic bomb, but no mouse would ever build a mousetrap." On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein passed away at age 76. His story teaches us that failure is not the end, curiosity drives progress, and true greatness lies in simplicity. His words still inspire us. Try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. Thank you for watching. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to LK English for more amazing content. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.